Hello, you spectacular people. How are you doing? And lady people, clearly. How are you doing? I've got to keep adding that now. I don't know why. I've got to add you people and lady people, just in case there's any doubts. Today I'm going to talk about the weaponization of language. Tell you all about it on the other side. So language is being messed with tremendously. More so than ever. When I was a kiddie, we could say stuff. You could say stuff. My uncle used to say stuff and people would go, dearie me, there's no need for that. Now, my uncle would be cancelled, but he can't be because he's dead. So that's a good thing in a way that he can't be cancelled. But he would have been cancelled, like fully and completely. When I was younger, I was a people pleaser. I think I've mentioned this before. Part of my role as a people pleaser was to say things that would shock people. I always went for the shock value of anything I said because I wanted people to laugh, or at least I wanted the majority of people to laugh, even if they had to be a victim. And so I would say the most outlandish things. I still do. I'm saying I would, as though it's over. I still do, and I do enjoy it. I've got a natural bent, to use that expression. I've got a bent towards saying things that are a little bit extreme, just for a laugh. That's all. I don't do it for any other reason. But I used to do it like tremendously. Now, what I used to say, I couldn't say, only because I would be cancelled. Okay, so we're in this kind of war of words. I think that's what I would call it, where you can't say certain things. Now, we all know that, but what I see is that it's kind of sown its way into society, even for us, even for the people who are fully awake and are aware of this. We are still very cautious around the things that we say. Why? Well, because people are getting put into prison. The word police are out there, and people are getting longer prison sentences for writing something hurtful. Not even hurtful. Hang on a minute. Perceived as hurtful. Perceived as hurtful. By whom? I ask you. By whom? Who perceives it as hurtful? Well, the person who has been hurt. All they have to do is perceive it as hurtful, and that's you, buggered in the clink. So we're all cautious about what we say. We say things like the N-word now. We don't even want to say it. And it's the N-word, we've got the F-word, haven't we? Effing and jeffing. And we often say the F-word rather than say it. And the C word, we definitely don't say, do we? Now we've got the N word. It's like, how many words? Right, can you remember Harry Potter? When we'd talk about Voldemort. And rather than say his name, they would say, he who must not be mentioned. Everybody knew who it was, but he who must not be mentioned. What did that do? They thought it protected them. But actually what it did was, it made them very scared. He who should not be mentioned, the N word, the C word, the F word. And I think we're in this place where words are given such importance. So we've got the words that are being kind of, you mustn't say this because you're not allowed to. Yeah. You mustn't be anti anything, not allowed to. But you must say these words. And there are other words that are said and they are repeated over and over and over again. And we've talked about this before, about the power of three, the way that words are used in threes as slogans. And they are used. Why in threes? Because it's the power of three, which is it's short enough to be really punchy. Okay? And it doesn't need to have any rational backup. And if it can rhyme, so much better. If it rhymes, it is fantastic. I was watching a program about the work that they did on rhyming, right? Things that rhyme against things that don't rhyme. And they found that things that rhyme are perceived as being truer than things that don't rhyme. Bizarre. They did this test with people where they give them all of these sentences, and then they were saying, how true is this sentence? Yeah. And they give them 3 lots of tests, and only within the 3 tests they had a small quantity of sentences that were repeated. By the end of the test, those sentences were marked as truer than any of the other sentences. Why? Because of repetition. As somebody famous once said, if you tell a lie enough times, it becomes a truth because it sounds familiar. And that's why they use these slogans, and I'm saying they because these are the mass manipulators of this world use these slogans so that we believe them. So the mass manipulators are fully aware of the power of these expressions. And so let me give you a few examples. So we've got the very famous, yes, we can. Yes, we can. The words of Obama that were just everywhere. Everybody, even to this day, people still use that expression, yes, we can. Okay? The question is, what can we? This is yes, you can. Fucking what? What can you fucking do? Well, if you look at Obama's reign as president, what he did was to unlive millions of people, to send drones off to countries, just randomly unliving people, doing all kinds of horrible stuff. That's what he can do. Yeah? But it doesn't matter because 3 words are not measured with any kind of logic at all. It's not, let's dig into this. What exactly is that can? Can's an action word. What actions are you going to take? No! Yes, we can. Vote for him because he's good looking and he's got a tremendous slogan. Then we've got hands, face, space. It rhymes. It rhymes. Even more important, even more believable. What was that about? That was creating an obsession with washing your hands, not touching your face, and keeping distance between you and your fellow man. Boy, did that work. Boy, did we lap that up. And I'm saying we, I'm talking about the collective we, not me. We. And yet, it was said, hands, face, space. But the amount of times, if I had €5, I live in Spain, €5 for every time that somebody touched their mask whilst they were wearing it and talking to me, I would be a millionaire. It was driving me mad. And I wanted to say to them, I don't wear a mask, but are you aware that you're not supposed to touch it? Once you've touched it, you've got to change it. No. People are taking them off, putting them in the cupboard, getting the same one on. Oh my God. I mean, the bacteria. Oh my God. The dentists must be raking it in now. So, other interesting ones. Safe and effective. Safe and effective. Said around the world in all languages as well. Here in Spain, they had exactly the same expression in Spanish. Safe and effective. And it was neither safe nor effective, but it didn't matter because what they were working on was selling an idea. And how do you sell an idea? Well, you repeat 3 words. George Orwell, 4 legs good, 2 legs better. All right? 4 legs good, 2 legs better. It was a chant. It was a chant. Now, what happened in George Orwell is that the sheep just started it. They were taken away. They were trained because they weren't very intelligent. The sheep weren't very intelligent. The goats very intelligent. Sheep not. And then they would just start chanting it. There was no rational argument, no rational explanation, just a chant that went on and on and on until it was accepted. 4 legs good, 2 legs better. And so we're surrounded by these slogans, by this weaponization of language. These are spells that are being cast upon us. Now, the great news is, once you recognize them, then they don't affect you. They don't have the impact. That's the great news. The bad news is that no matter what group we suppose ourselves to be in, we have the potential of entering into this culty world. Society is a cult, and our group can be a cult too. And so what I'm aware of, and it's something that I constantly ask myself, and I think I would suggest that you do the same, is one of the identifying markers of a cult is that we have a language that is our own. So the Jehovah's Witnesses have a language. They have things like words that aren't used in normal parlance, like disfellowshipped, like worldly, spiritually sick, disassociated. They have these words, yeah? Well, so do we not? In the truth movement. Because we are in the truth movement. In the truth movement, I don't know how many times I've said that. 3 nice little words. It's a slogan, the truth movement. What does it even mean? What does it mean? Do we have the truth? I don't think so. Yeah, are we moving? Yes, probably. But we don't have the truth. That's for certain. What about this one? 5D ascension. 5D ascension. How many times have we heard that? Now, let me tell you, when I first heard 5D ascension, when I was first presented with that idea, I thought, where the fuck's 4D gone? That's what I thought. It doesn't resonate with me. Where's 4D? How can we go from 3D to 5D? Right? How? Where did 4 go? And yet, I've heard it so many times. I've used it. It's become so familiar to me that I'm using it as a concept. 5D ascension. But I use it, but I'm aware that as I say whatever that means, because I don't know what it means, and I don't know what 5D is, and I don't know what ascension is. Right? However, it does describe our truth movement. We're moving toward 5D ascension, whatever that means. But we've got to be ever so careful about these. We're in the same situation, just on a better side. But as long as you are aware that the words that you're using often have no basis in anything other than it's a nice little concept. That's all. That keeps you safe. You know, when we suggest that demons attack us. Yeah? Demons attack me. Another 3 words, yeah? The energy parasites. All of these things, we talk about them as though they were real. As long as we remember that they're not. These are just 3 little stringy words that we're putting together that don't necessarily mean anything other than a concept, an idea. They're not the truth. And I think that's, as long as we're aware of that, we can use them. I use them. Just be aware that they are just little words that don't have any basis in the truth or in logical explanation. It's very difficult to explain the world in which we're in. As long as you know that, then you don't get tied up on the fact that this is true. Yeah, the New Age. I mean, look at that. We've got the New Age, right? The Paradise Earth was used by the Jehovah's Witnesses. New World Order, another 3, yeah? And we say that the New Earth, another 3, the New Earth. And we say it as though we know exactly what it is. We haven't got a fucking clue, okay? They're just concepts. And they're not very deep concepts. They're just shallow stuff, okay? We'll get there and we'll know what it is and then we can give it a name. But even then, what we're living, perhaps we don't even know if it's true or not. What we're living now, I don't know if this is true or not. I'm looking at this camera, I don't know if this camera is real or whether it's just a figment of my imagination. However, it's still recording me. So there you are, the weaponization of language. Be careful with it. Watch out for it. Listen out for these 3 word slogans that are surrounding us all over that make us think that we know when we know fuck all. I know fuck all. That's my mantra. That's 4 words. We know fuck all. That's all right. That's not it's not one of those ones. We know fuck all. As long as we remember that and keep that in mind, then we'll be safe, I think. I love you all, and I'll speak to you all later. Bye-bye.